How's it going, film and TV fans? Welcome back to another review on the film, on the Off the Cuff Film Reviews YouTube channel. And today, we are looking at something quite special. Currently, my favourite movie of all time, Dethroning License to Kill, in May of this year. And again, a movie that actually came out this year not that long ago, and is still yet to release on Blu-ray or DVD in the United Kingdom. However, in the last few weeks, in fact, the day after my birthday, on September the 2nd, the movie was added to Amazon Prime Video. Yes, of course, I am talking about the incredible 2022 masterpiece, directed by Daniels, that is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. To say I was hyped for this movie before it came out would be a fucking understatement, because I rewatched this trailer time and time again. I edited the music at the end, which you put your hearing right now, to listen to, because I love the trailer so much, I love the movie so much, and you know, I saw this movie 7 times at the cinema. 7, which, you know, it is close to the, 8 or 9 times I saw Bond, but this movie is significantly better than Bond. And it's because every part of the machine of a film is rolling at full blast in this movie. Cinematography, production design, costume design, acting, writing, music, sound editing, sound mixing, you know, editing, puppetry, you know, everything is at 100% here. And if I'm being honest, I think I always have this mentality that there is no such thing as a perfect movie. There never will be, and there never has been. No movie is perfect. But if there is one movie I could say that came the closest as humanly possible to being a perfect movie, it would be this movie. Because it is such a rich movie in creativity, pushing itself to the forefront of just not only cinematic creativity, but also, you know, humour. And the main thing I love about this movie is that it doesn't wrap itself in the multiverse stuff and use that as a gimmick. Obviously, out of the 2 multiverse movies that came out this year, this is the one that is actually good, because the other one, Doctor Strange, wasn't so, you know, if Doctor Strange had taken a few leaves out of this film's book, maybe it would be better, but even then it would still be called a cheap copy, which is what it is obviously, you know. But what I think, to use both movies as an example, what I think they both struggle with is that Doctor Strange doesn't expand upon the multiverse stuff enough and just tiptoes on the edge, whereas this movie goes over the fucking cliff and then flies straight back up again and manages to fucking skyrocket into space with kind of the creativity and the imagination of the entire movie. And it's just because Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is everything in this movie, no pun intended, is in the perfect position. And if I'm being honest, it's mainly because this movie doesn't use the multiverse as a gimmick or a shield. What it uses it as a way to converse the story. The simple fact is, this story is about a mother trying to reconnect with her child. That's all the story is. That at the simplest, lowest common denominator form, that is what the story is. At the very basic levels, it is a mother and her child. That is what the story is. That is what it will always be, what it always has been, and what the centre of the movie is. It's the mother and the child, Evelyn and her daughter Joy. That's all the movie is. But the movie crafts the story around the multiverse, around different realities, around different versions of each character, and it manages to somehow not feel like the multiverse stuff is gimmicky, but actually it adds to the story and the characters and the characterization and how they're being told, which is so incredible, because I don't see movies do that very often. They usually pick up something like a multiverse thing as a gimmick and it doesn't work very well and the movie's not very good, or if it is good, it's not because the multiverse stuff worked, it's because the scenes that aren't involving the gimmick are so much better than the scenes that are. But here it's so special because I often, genuinely, when I came out of this movie the first time, I just sat in the chair and I was lost for words, because it's some kind of experience on the big screen, and it's a great example of why cinemas and theatres need to stay around, because this is cinema. This is why I go to the cinema. This is why I go and watch films. This is why I review movies. This kind of movie, original, creative, incredible, feat of filmmaking, an incredible experience, and the whole thing together is so well crafted. This is cinema, in my humble opinion, because not only does it have some seriously serious moments in the movie that are genuine, like serious movie moments, kind of serious drama. There's also a lot of comedy, which is put in the exact right places to make the movie work so well. And it's so bizarre, and it's so weird, and it works so beautifully well, because the movie is just, everything it does is perfect in every single way. I remember Homelander saying it was just absolutely perfect. This movie is that. It was just perfect. It's not a perfect movie, but it's as humanely close as possible, because everything you needed to build a movie is perfect, but it isn't, which is not what you think I'd be saying, considering I've just spent the last 6 minutes, going on about the movie. But it's so rare that a movie like this comes around with so much originality, so much personality, so much pizzazz, but it's not trying to show all of that off. It's just trying to tell a story, and that's the beauty of it, I think, because it knows it has all these things. It has these capabilities to do all these crazy moments, and the montage where everything flickers, and these different costumes, and fucking crazy shit like the raccoon and stuff like that. It knows it has these things, but it doesn't put those things front and center, because it knows it doesn't need to. It knows that it can rely on the simple story of a mother trying to reconnect with her daughter, and everything else is just, structural standpoints. It's literally just, the bridge is basically, the whole movie is a bridge between Evelyn and Joy, and the supports for that bridge is everything else around it. The multiverse stuff, the crazy raccoon stuff, all of that, the great music, the great, everything else, no pun intended, is what makes this movie. Because in all genuine honesty, I have not seen a movie like this before, and I don't think I will see a movie like this before. I saw this movie with one of the 7 times I saw this movie was with my film club. 4 of us, we go to the movies every week. We try and go every week, and we try and have a look at discussion like the end of after 4 movies have come out, and we discuss the movies. And I saw it with that lot, and I think one of the members of that group said it best, in that every generation you get a once in a generation masterpiece. The last one was Matrix. I think a lot of people believe that The Matrix was that generation's movie masterpiece, and I think this generation's movie masterpiece is right here in front of me. Everything Ever All at Once, because it pushes filmmaking in a new direction, and I think it actually has, in my opinion, maybe not quite yet, but I think it has the potential to wake Hollywood up to so much. I think a great example of this is obviously with Thor Ragnarok. Taika Waititi is a very interestingly different filmmaker, and I think a lot of a phrase that was going around the time he was announced to be the director was "embrace the weird." Marvel is embracing the weird, and that's true. But while that movie didn't go as absurd as this, the point I'm trying to make here is that I think this might be a wake-up call to Hollywood to embrace the weird side of things, to embrace different, creative, to push things forward for a better, instead of just making generic action movie 2,455 of 45 million. Different is good, but there is no but, because different is brilliant. And while there will still continue to be generic action movie 4,575 out of 45 billion, every once in a while a movie like this comes along that proves that there is so much creativity with people behind the camera and in front of it that is hidden away through studios and through corporations that so many people don't get to make what they want to make. They get creative control stripped away, they get changed all the time. But it's very evident that this movie is exactly the way the directors had it in their weird as fuck brain. A brain that I wish I could see inside of, because this is a great example of what I was saying to my film group the other day as well, is that sometimes you get filmmakers who are given small amount of control, movie turns out fucking brilliant. Given too much creative control, and it doesn't go so well. A great example of that recently is Thor: Love and Thunder, and Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, great movie. Waititi had a little bit of control. After Ragnarok was a fucking huge success, Marvel gave him all the control, and Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't the best. It's not a terrible movie, but it's not the best. But here, it's evident they were given the budget they wanted, were given the control they wanted, and they just fucking went for it. They dived straight in. Nothing was out of the question. No one would say no to anything. It's very evident from the absolute batshit insanity that this movie pushes to the front of everything, because it is just so incredible. It still baffles me that a movie like this can be made in the modern world, where you just get so much fucking bullshit. And I've never seen a movie so many times and yet still come out speechless every single time. Like, genuinely, there's something new about that feeling, It's such a special movie because it pushes creativity to its limits and then some, And it's all down to, maybe I actually haven't talked about it yet, but it's, the core thing is Michelle Yeoh's performance. Really, if she doesn't get nominated for an Academy Award, I am done with Hollywood, because it's just incredible how thought-provoking, incredible, and how talented that woman is, genuinely. And it's just, I'm just going to read what I typed on Letterboxd after I came out of the movie the first time. This is just basically, it's almost a poem, but it's not really, that I wrote after the review, because I genuinely felt like it was in to say, so I'm just going to read that to you. I feel changed. This movie changed me. I can't explain it. For the first time ever, I'm genuinely completely lost for words. I'm still processing it. I'm just stood outside the cinema looking at the sky, just thinking. Because I was blown away by the amount
It's really not that crazy.
We're not that crazy.
A couple of mammals making gravy.
Right?
Together, you and me, a multi-species team. We're a family. Culinarily. Now we're cooking while nobody's looking. Yes, we're family. Culinarily.
I'm still at lost for words, and I've just rewatched it again because there is so much in such a dark and horrible world. To have escapism like this that manages to not just be laughs, shits and giggles, but actually have some humanity to it, while also being able to be some of the most funniest moments in a movie. And to, every single time I saw this movie at the cinemas, there were so many moments where the crowd would just laugh and laugh to the point where, like belly laughing, where you actually start to physically be in pain because you're laughing so much. And that is something I don't hear very often at cinemas. Not many movies I have seen have had that effect, but this is one of those. And to have that effect 7 times. And it's crazy to think that most, I saw it those 7 times quite a few very times after, and it was also re-released in cinemas, which it was in this country, and I went to see the re-release as well with the bonus stuff at the end, and each and every time it was still quite full of people. There was not a single time where it was dead or empty. It was still full of people every time, which is brilliant, because, as don't know if you know, but it's very widely been publicised that this is A24's most successful movie, and it's also a movie that would only be made at A24, so, yeah, I can't get over the fact that this movie is literally my favourite movie of all time. I love it so much because it's so fucking fresh in so many ways, but it's also not, and it knows that too, which is just so perfect about it. It is so fucking ingenious, and Daniels is a pair of directors I'll be looking forward to what they did next, and I'll be going back to check the previous film, Swiss Army Man, yeah, which again, so this is only their second ever feature film. Is fucking mind blowing. Like, second feature, like, fuck me, that's incredible. And I still sat here completely baffled by the beauty of this movie, because it has some brilliant cinematography. The whole scene with the rock, not that rock, not Dwayne, but there's a scene where they have rocks, and it's one of the scenes in the movie where the sound design really pushes to the front, because it's no speech, it's no dialogue, it's just text on a screen and two rocks. God knows why the fuck they went and filmed two rocks out. There's even behind the scenes footage of them actually sitting there for that long and just fucking filming two rocks. Like, imagine telling your, producers that, oh yeah, today is what we're shooting. Two rocks on the fucking ground. Like, imagine, and still being given the green light and the budget to do that shit. Like, it's crazy. But that scene is just another example of the creativity behind this movie, because it was so funny, but it was so different, because it was... And dare I even mention the music, because the music in this movie is beautiful. Son Lux scored this movie, and wow, I've never heard such fantastically beautiful film music that fit the style of this movie, that fit the tone of this movie in every element. And even there's a few songs, including the raccoon song called "This Now We're Cooking," which is really funny. It's got Randy Newman singing and stuff. You heard that a minute ago. But it musically, it's so beautiful. It's so vast, because it doesn't stick with just the kind of stuff. Well, that is the overall kind of idea of the score. There is a lot of times where the score changes around the movie as well, which is brilliant. And to think that each character feels so fleshed out, but also not, it works so well. And I think it's just down to the fact that every member of the cast is incredibly fucking talented, and they put their fucking all into this movie, and it's very, very apparent, because it is a masterpiece of a film, and I cannot imagine living in a world without this movie, to be quite frank with you, because one of the times I saw it in the cinema, one of the 7 times, I think it was one of the later times, I had the pleasure of going and seeing it with a few of my college mates. So most of them were on the film and TV course, some of them were on the acting course. So it was all people who were heavily involved in film production and stuff like that. So it was interesting to see them. And instead of actually just watching the movie, I, for the most part, watched their reactions to it, because it's one of those movies where you can genuinely sit there and watch someone else's reactions to it, and it be a thing of intrigue. And most of them quite enjoyed it, but there was one who didn't. He thought it was pretty good, but it was too weird for them, and I can see that. But it wasn't too weird for me. It was and is the greatest movie ever made, in my opinion, my favourite movie ever made. And I implore you to find a way to watch this movie, whether it be legally or illegally. Please watch this movie. It is cinema in its purest and most vulnerable state, I think, and form. And the very fact that it's also, using comedic elements with serious subject matters, and it doesn't feel off, and it doesn't feel unnatural, and it's weaved so perfectly throughout the film, is beautiful. The fake out ending, or not fake out ending, but it's a fake out ending where there's an ending like halfway through the film, but it's fake. Out of the 7 times I saw the movie, not a single time did a person stand up and leave when that ending occurred. So, I'm proud of people for not being complete fucking bellends. But please go and watch this movie. If you like films in any way, shape or form, you need to see this movie. If you missed it on its theatrical one, what a shame. You're missing out on the definitive experience to see a movie like this on the big screen. I capitalised on that cinematic one as much as possible. I saw it 7 fucking times and I loved it, every single one. And I cannot begin to explain my love for this movie and my very upset nature of the fact that it's not been released on Blu-ray or DVD in this country yet, and I'm forced to just not own a physical copy of my favourite movie of all time. Makes me incredibly fucking angry. Not even a DVD. I would have taken a fucking DVD for this movie because it's that fucking good, but not even a fucking DVD. Like, it actually bare pisses me off that there is fucking no physical release of this movie in United Kingdom yet. Who knows, it might go through that but that publisher, Second Sight Films, who put out a lot of stuff, but I doubt it because they just put out British movies and this is not a British movie. So I hope and pray that it gets a Blu-ray or DVD release in this country, but it's not looking good because it's already had its release in the States, and if it takes any longer, I will just fucking import the one from the States because I want a physical copy of my favourite movie on my shelf. Also, go and listen to the Sunlock soundtrack because it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. I listen to it all the time. Yeah, please find a way to see this movie because it is the epitome of cinema. It is so special, so unique, and something that we're probably not going to see, this kind of movie ever again. It's so different, it's so spectacularly brilliant, and it's so different from everything else coming out at the moment. It's not a blockbuster. It's not a... It doesn't, again, this is one of the movies that I find incredibly hard to pinpoint a specific genre on because it crosses over so fucking many. It is unfucking believable that it's impossible to specifically put a fucking genre on this movie. It's really hard. Is it a comedy? I mean, yes it is. Is it a serious drama? I mean, yes it is. Is it a thriller? In places, yeah. But most of all, and most importantly, it still manages to keep that central structure, that central pillar of mother and child, and weave such a fantastic story around it, and weave such incredible storytelling around that central pillar. It's incredible that it's as long as it is, and it lasts, and is just... I'm still lost for words talking about this movie. That's why I've been stopping and stuttering, because it's a movie where I genuinely struggle to find words to describe how fucking incredible this movie is. It was definitely a thought-provoking experience, and dare I say, life-changing experience per se. But it is just incredible, and I hope it doesn't get sequelized, because it doesn't need a sequel. It is done and dusted, and it's perfect. And I know the directors have signed a new deal with Universal, but they haven't said if that involves doing anything with this property. I imagine, considering its immense success and the greed of Hollywood, that there will be something. But I hope that that's not the case. Because it doesn't need a sequel. It's one of the few movies where I can literally stand tall and say that it doesn't fucking need a sequel, because the story is done and dusted. There's no need for prequel bullshit, flashbacks and that. Leave it alone. It is as close as humanly possible to a perfect movie. Don't shit on that by making a fucking sequel that, while it still has the potential to be good, is never in a billion fucking years gonna even come within the same universe as the original, or should I say the same multiverse as the original. So don't even bother. It's not worth it. Don't even bother. But please, I implore anyone watching this video to go and watch this movie. You will be changed in so many ways. I, for one, will be pre-ordering the Sunlock soundtrack vinyl, and I cannot wait to have it spinning on my turntable. And thanks for joining me on this thought-provoking, life-changing movie experience. I can confirm that next week's reviews will be American Psycho and Phantom of the Opera. So yeah, look forward to that. Scratch that, it won't be American Psycho, it will be a to be confirmed title. Yeah, thank you so much for watching my review of Everything Ever All at Once. Please, I implore you to go find a way to watch the movie, because it's so brilliant. If you live in the States, please support the movie by buying the Blu-ray, the DVD, the Steelbook, the 4K, if that exists. I don't know if it does. But please do support the movie. Pre-order the vinyl soundtrack, which is available to pre-order now. Go listen to the soundtrack on Spotify and shit like that. It's incredible. Find a way to watch the movie, okay? Even if it's illegal. This is the one movie where I say everyone who is a film student, a film fan, you need to watch this movie. I don't usually say that, but you need to watch this one because of how fantastic it is. And it's even to the point where you've just seen my new intro. Well, not just seen, about 30 minutes ago, you saw my brand new intro that I've changed up a bit. And this is one of the clips from this movie. It is one of the clips. So, please go and watch the movie. And see for yourself, make your own opinion. Maybe you might not think it's as good as I am, and I'd love to hear anyone else's opinions. Leave your opinions in the comments below. I love to talk movies, so start a conversation in the comments below. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to hit that big fat red juicy subscribe button.
Together, you and me,
And bye-bye.
We're a family.
For now.
Now we're cooking while nobody's looking. Yeah, we're family. Culinarily.
Rakakuni, I don't know what I'd do without you.
Yeah, we make a pretty good team.
Damn right.